What's going on, you guys? Jeff Burlingame, professional mentor for Two Brain Business here on the Two Brain Business YouTube channel. If you're here, you're likely looking for ways to improve yourself as an entrepreneur and work your way closer to wealth. And that's what we're here to help with. Today specifically, I want to talk to you about role playing when it comes to sales, when it comes to educating and training and developing your team, your staff on how to sell. There's a very specific way that I go about doing this, and I've been doing this for over a decade. So what I'm about to recommend to you is extremely effective if put into action. Before we dive in, if this is your first time stopping by the channel or you haven't subscribed yet, consider doing so. There's tons of great content, and you can go way back in our archives and check out all our awesome videos that we've made in the past. All right, let's get right to it. So you want to train your staff to sell. You want other people to be able to grow your business in your absence. You'd love to go on vacation, but you don't want to lose momentum. Well, then you have to develop your team. I've been developing individuals and teams for over a decade, and here's the process that I follow that I highly recommend you institute in your system right now. Step one, educate. You start with a base level of knowledge. Nobody is born a salesman. Everybody learns to become a salesman or woman over time. So the very first thing I do when I get a new salesperson is I ask them about their base level of education. Have they done any sales certifications in the past? Have they gone to seminars? Have they read any books? If the answer is no, or no to all of the above, then I'll start with a book recommendation. This would be the easiest way for them to get started. They should sign up for Audible right away, and they should go download these main books that I believe are the best at guiding people to success in sales. Number one, The Sales Bible by Jeffrey Gitomer. Number two, The Psychology of Selling by Brian Tracy. And number three, Sales EQ by Jeb Blount. The reason I choose those three is because they cover three very important topics as it pertains to your ability to sell. Number one, the Sales Bible lays out sort of the outline, the groundwork. This is what sales is at a 30,000 foot view. It gives you a better perspective of how to sell, what selling is like, and what a sales process is. Number two, when we hit psychology of selling, we now start diving into body language, your voice inflection, your tone. I've spoken about this on other videos on the channel, but only 7% of your communication comes through the words you say. 38% of communication comes through your voice inflection or your tone of voice. So it's something you have to practice. It's an art. And 55% of your communication comes through body language. So if you don't understand body language, you could be sending the wrong messages, and likewise be misinterpreting very important messages from your prospects. So it's something worth learning. So psychology of selling is very important when it comes to how you conduct yourself in the sale. And then finally, Sales EQ from Jeb Blount, I think is huge because it creates sort of this epiphany within my sales staff that I've worked with in the past when it comes to emotional sales. Emotional selling is extremely important. It's one of the most effective ways that you can sell, if not the most effective way that you can sell high ticket items. You're never gonna sell high ticket items, at least consistently well, with simple tricks and tactics. It's more about understanding the individual, their needs, their wants, their desires, digging deeper and deeper and deeper, and being really good at asking questions, understanding what it takes to get to that emotional level, that emotional attachment for this individual as it pertains to your product or service. So Sales EQ is huge. The three of those together to me is the triple play. If any individual can digest those books, come away with an understanding or have some action steps to take immediately after reading them, they're going to be successful. So that's our first step in developing a salesperson, base level knowledge. Step number two, get them to start getting reps. There's something very important when it comes to sales, and that is repetition. Now, I don't mean like say exactly what I tell you to say so you sound like a robot. The only way you're gonna come off as an authentic human being yet still be following a precise sales process designed to get a prospect from point A to point B to close the deal is repetition. The trick is repetition. You repeat, and then eventually you authenticate the things that you're saying. It starts to sound more like you. It becomes your own. You develop a sales rhythm, another concept I've talked about on the channel plenty of times. Everybody has their own rhythm, but you can't find it unless you practice. Much like professional athletes seem to get their own rhythm from years and years of practice, again, 10,000 hours to become an expert in anything, we also need to do that within our lines of work, in this case, sales. Selling is a skill. Skills are developed over time with knowledge and practice, and that is exactly what you need to do at this point. So once we have that base level of knowledge and we've delivered them our sales script or the process that they should be following in order to sell our product or service, then and only then do we set them up with some practice. Now, this is low risk practice. We're talking about simply repeating the script. What I now want them to do is repeat it in a mirror. Stand in front of a mirror and just say the thing. Record yourself on your phone. Listen back. Talk to your dog, like whomever. In this case, we're not introducing the human element. At this point, we just want repetition. I want them to read this as if they're auditioning for a screenplay. They're gonna just read, repeat, repeat. It helps if you say it out loud sometimes, until it feels right, until they've memorized, they feel comfortable with it, and they feel like they can now add the human element, hence the next step. So with the human element added in, we're now going to role play with a person or a team. Ideally, a team. The more people involved in this, the more effective I've found that it is. Now, what we're gonna do is very simple role play. In this case, if you only have 2 people, you can only find 1 partner, then we're gonna do 1v1 role play. If you have multiple teammates, multiple staff members that you can work with, then we're gonna do a round robin approach. So 1v1, very simple. One of you is the buyer, one of you is the seller. Buyer, you're gonna come up with a very simple scenario of, I am this person. My name is Mrs. Jones. I'm 42 years old. I'm looking to lose 20 pounds and I want to reduce body fat and feel better. But now try to come up with a very specific why. Give me like a specific goal. Your goal has to meet SMART standards, okay? Specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, timely. And then you also have to have a very specific why, which is your emotional attachment to those goals. Now that could be being able to carry groceries up the stairs. It could be being able to hold your kids up in the air. It could be being able to keep up with your kids. It could be surviving until your kids graduate high school. It could be any one of these things. It just has to be a very specific why that the seller, your person that you're up against, has to discover through practice. So they have to ask the right questions to get the right answers, eventually to uncover this why, and then be able to make the sale. So with 1v1, it's 1 buyer, 1 seller. Buyer has a specific scenario that the seller must uncover, and it really is like a game of Battleship, right? That's what we're going at, just 1v1, keep taking shots. And pretend it's a real life appointment, right? I understand as well here that roleplay is not easy. It's awkward. You might have a tough time taking it seriously. Might have a tough time taking yourself seriously. Just roll with it. It's one of those things, you just get better at it with time. As far as the group format goes, this to me is way more fun, high energy, and entertaining. So what we're gonna do is a little round robin. One person will be chosen as the buyer. Everybody else is actually the seller. The buyer is going to throw out a line, in which case it could be an objection, for example. Let's say, I'm the buyer in this group and I say, man, I simply can't afford this right now. Then all of the sellers are then going to have to address this. If they're following our sales process, they're going to first acknowledge that objection with empathy. So they might say something like, hey, thank you so much for sharing your situation with me. You're not the first person to bring this to my attention. And that would be their acknowledgement with empathy. And then, that's one seller saying that, by the way, the next seller is going to say the same thing. And the next one, and the next one. Now, there could be several variations of acknowledgement here that they could say. Like, for example, I understand the situation that you're in. Thank you for sharing your situation with me. I can appreciate the situation that you're in. Any one of those counts. So again, we're trying to find our sales rhythm. The real main idea and objective with this whole thing with role play, adding this human element, is to try saying different things. You're going into the fitting room, you're trying these sayings on, you're trying to see what feels right for you, and you're finding your sales rhythm over time. So if I continuously try to say something and I stumble over my words, it doesn't feel right. It feels awkward. I'm not really liking what this sounds like. Then I'll try something else. And eventually I find something that clicks. And the funny thing about sales is all your prospects don't communicate with each other. So you could say the exact same lines to every single prospect you ever encounter in your business, and they'd never know the difference. What's most important is that you are saying what you are comfortable with, because that is going to be the most impactful thing that you say. It's going to be the most authentic thing you say. It's going to sound like you because it's coming from inside you. Because it is you. It's coming from you. It is your authentic self. But you have to find that through practice. And that's what role play does. So that's it. That's the 3 layers. Educate yourself. Repeat 1,000 times. Add the human element. Continue to role play until you feel comfortable or you've achieved some level of success. And then move into live sales. Now you take actual prospects and you work towards a sale with them. Hopefully this video was helpful for you guys. If it was, be sure to subscribe to the Two Brain Business YouTube channel. We'd love to see you here more often. Smash a like on this video and ring that notification bell. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you on the next video.